stop. We keep going till we drop. No, we never ever stop. No, we never ever stop. No, we never ever stop. We keep going till we drop. No, we never ever stop. No, we never ever stop.
They call me Second Take, Mr. Manny, because this is my second take. I have no idea what happened to my first voice file, but you guys don't know about it, so this is extra trauma dumping. Nicely done. Attention, Maxxinista shoppers. You are listening to the Maxxinista Podcast, a safe place for retail workers everywhere, from DDs to Target. And in a moment of significant unity, Ross. In this episode, I dive into our usual topics of education, rideshare conversations, reactions, and much more. Expect the unexpected as I make passive-aggressive comments towards our schedules, write a song bemoaning the lack of student motivation, silently judge my passengers, cover breaking TJ Maxx news, and provide confidential commentary about midweek classes. As a bonus feature of this podcast, I do want to cover the more serious political events occurring in our country. So if you would like to hear my opinion, stay till the end. You have been warned. If I don't sound as animated, picture I had to redo the whole thing. So yeah, pretty heated, and we're not even started. Whoosh. We start our podcast episode with our first educational segment reflecting on our current schedule. There's no funny way of putting this, and I am not sure if this is at demand or request, but I'll be direct and I'll enunciate. When my schedule has a gap of 2 to 3 hour lunches, I experience a feeling of being on parole. I mean, I'm guessing that must be the feeling. It's a guess, allegedly. No, I have never been on parole. A partial sense of freedom, of movement, getting to drive, listening to a podcast like the Maxxinista Podcast when the audio isn't terrible, or just enjoying having a healthy distance between me and my workplace until I have to return and apologize to the powers that be since I was late. Shout out to my student for being late as well. We know her, we love her. Mr. Fishy loves her. It's all good. Except the time that she came in like right on time. And I was like, oh, that was my extra 10-minute break. And it's unofficial. It looks like even in this economy, you cannot serve two masters. You must serve either education or rideshare, but never both. It's 18 pages. I wanted to put that soundbite, but I can't find it. Anyways, we have a bit to go. As I've been doing the other episodes, I'll give you guys a little break. I have plenty of my fun soundboards, and why am I explaining the production side? You guys don't care. You guys haven't been here at the computer for like 4 hours, raging silently as Adobe Audition, who's not a sponsor, does a lot of things. Speaking of microaggressions, returning from lunch to work comes with plenty of microaggressions, and here on the Maxxinista Podcast, we're going to expose them and make them go viral. Yes, I have to say redacted because I have to watch for my job security. Just visualize me as a stunning and brave TikToker with the lapel mic and the green screen, which is not on my Maxxinista wish list. Do not send me one. I hate trolls. Never send me a free green screen. First, definitely not from Team. First, let's talk about erasure. Yay! I experience erasure at work every day when my time clock says that I have not punched in. Punch back lunch and does not allow me to clock out.
But don't be mad at capitalism. Capitalism loves you.
Justin Bieber, it's not clocking, is it? The next phenomenon in my experience is gaslighting. This time clock tells me that I have entered my number wrong when I clearly haven't. Likes to be passive-aggressive statement. You are not the manager. And if Ryan gets his way, it will probably say, you are not the tester. Thanks. I need the reminder, Mr. don't know if I can say the name of our software. What am I? What if I'm time blind? Clock that. No. All right, ableist Dayforce. Yeah, that's a clip I want to go viral. Me going, I can't even fake outrage. You just have to be there, watching me type my number 5 times, questioning if I have my social security number wrong the whole time. No, I'm not going to say it here. When our lunches are a bit longer, I do sometimes forget to clock back in. I'm not doing the bit. I'm doing the YouTuber apology. Dear Dayforce, I'm making this YouTube apology because I said some mean things about you online, about you wanting to hit the iPad, wanting to go to the rage room, wanted to break it over with my knees because you're saying that I didn't clock out. Those comments do not reflect who I am.
Idea what is going on right now.
Yes, sometimes I do forget to clock out again. Dayforce really does draw out the worst in me, and I haven't been the only one to use another iPad to clock in and had problems later on. Maybe Dayforce should be able to find your punches no matter which iPad you use. Clock that.
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
Speaking of time, oh boy, do I have stories to tell you already within my short time as LCA. I will keep it brief because I don't have seniority, unfortunately. Ruth, I'm working on a C80, please. But I already have some juicy stories like me leaving voicemail, practicing my phone voice, raising my eyebrow like my mentor, but she has better eyebrows than me. I don't know her eyebrow routine. Sephora, if you like to sponsor me. I don't know. For my non-existent partner. Mr. Lee, driving Mr. Lee crazy and facing passive-aggressive comments about my new position from my so-called mentor, Ryan. So all these juicy stories and more some other time. When I explain what I do, people are always curious as to what grade bands I work with, or as we like to say, what population I work with. As with a lot of things, I work within a spectrum, wink, of ages from very little and cute to older, edgy teens. The real victims are the tables that have gone through so much. I'm sure every teacher has a different fit or preference for which age group they would like to work with. And with my experience, quote unquote, with both groups, I thought I could reflect on it and offer some observations. First, let me start with the little ones, and then I will finish with the big guys. Yes, I made a reference to the Lord of the Flies because some days they're just little savages. No, not that kind. Please don't drag me into TikTok route. I'm just I'm just like, why can't you go back to when you were 7 and that was so funny? The little ones have zero concepts for boundaries, which can be annoying, but also cute. Oh, the amount of times that I had to tell one of our students about his stomach. Is your stomach okay, buddy? You've been really bloated today. Okay, what can we do to help you with that? Yeah, lots of gas. They don't tell you that during the training. They don't tell you. They don't tell you about Miralax during your IDW. Okay, I'm done. But when they take their millionth toy out because they want to say goodbye to Mr. Fishy, even though he's very strict, and he's going to talk to your dad about your Apple Watch being a distraction. Shout out to him for disabling it. Well, it does make it worth it. But it's exhausting to create games for every single task. Unfortunately, you need to make games because if not, they're just going to spin themselves dizzy because they don't know how to handle downtime. So they're just going to run around and get themselves dizzy and explode like a little shaken soda pop. More on that later. So I like to think that I am a creative teacher who is discovering his spine. And I have made games like Red Light, Green Light, Hopscotch, Spotted, or Catch, so we can both survive the hour. But I am no Miriam. Woohoo! That's her. That's my impression of Miriam. Since she has created a whole lordom for one of our students who is now a queen despite our No More Queens protest. It's okay. I'm on her council, whatever that means. I love how she does the hello for each sight word that they shake hands on. That's a really fun game. That's awesome. Very wholesome. On the other hand, you also have Mr. Erhard Gruber, Mr. Hendrik. That was some top-notch German pronunciation, danke. Mr. Hendrik, isn't that the German guy who didn't know the words to still and knock? For his student, Mr. Doofenshmirch, he has created a whole imaginary video game level involving plushies running around, Sonic, and then me in the background. I'm just trying to get my teenager's attention with 6-7. Also, more on that later. Edit. I have officially witnessed a cool big wig also reference 6-7 during a meeting with the student. But I wasn't such a very happy camper at first for personal reasons that I will put in brain rot terms so that you guys can understand and I can keep my job. So when they reviewed my job, no, what how do I word this properly? I was a little bit fearful because when she reviewed my work before, I felt like I had Skibbity Ohio risk with my student, and for that, and only that, I'm just kidding. For that, and for session management, I am truly sorry. Cap Canadian now. Creating characters has been a way of staying sane in the midst of chaos and having an emotional outlet that is both silly, fun, and will not get me arrested for verbal abuse, which is a standard I hold myself to. You should hear that, HR. You should hear me and my student have a great time when I start saying, Mr. Fishy saw you use the iPad. Put it away. Or, Mr. Jimmy says that was off task. And then I move the gem back. And you better watch out for Mr. Clippy. Yes, you may realize I use the same voice for all of them. Mr. Clippy's just a box. Mr. Clippy, I have like 5 thoughts in my head. Mr. Clippy is literally just a box clasp that snapped off from my box. He's pretty scrappy. He's a survivor. And one of my students actually asked for Mr. Clippy. So I do use it to build rapport. HR, you should hear that. And also IS. I finally understand why Mr. Rogers used the witch character from the town of Make Believe when he wanted to blow off some steam. Yes, even Mr. Rogers needed to blow off some steam. Now I use it when I'm driving. Oh, Mr. Dimey doesn't want to connect now, but when I leave my car with one earbud, then it just magically goes there. But if not, yeah. For legal reasons, I will not go further, but it is very annoying to go back from car sound to earbud sound to no sound to earbud sound. And it's like playing musical chairs with audio. Except everybody loses. This episode is brought to you by Raycon. If I could say the brand name. The earbuds that won't for some reason always be missing one earbud. That's the power of Raycon and not a skill issue. Now on to the teens, who I will consider if using characters like that is both effective and age appropriate. And forget word for suggesting the different word. No, I meant age appropriate. Okay, trying to explain me. How dare you? Like a word processor, that's what I meant. But before that, a random thought popped up from one of our older students. How random is it if it's written in a script? I don't know. Is it okay that I love when she did a character of an elderly lady of her ethnicity, Anyong? That was great. She really gave me something to look forward to when the elderly lady gave a word summary talking about the train hero being her boyfriend. That was an interesting way to tell that story back to me. I sure hope that Pooh News goes on for another 10 years strong. We need this kind of fair and balanced reporting with a soft voice and a pot of honey. I have found out that the key to a teenager's heart sometimes is food. Sometimes it's listening to them when they are giving you a lore dump. Yes, you should always redirect them back to the task in case anybody's watching another one of my sessions on some obscure character that I always have to ask if is it school appropriate. Also, sometimes the 6-7 jokes hit and sometimes it misses. We had our moments before, and sometimes it's really frustrating when you don't receive the respect you feel like you are owed when they quote unquote hold them hostage and you have to say, stop being a carrot. It's just one more minute. Other times the work is boring for both and I have no way of knowing how to make it engaging or at least applicable to his interests. I don't like how it sounded like I was going to give you guys a positive and it's just more negative. Now there's it's really disarming when they think that a joke at your expense, like, oh, is he going to get mad? And then you just like lean into it and it's pretty funny. Like latest one is when they told me, hey, look up, there's Gullible in the ceiling. And I looked up. Because I'll do anything for these students. I just sit there contemplating if I am to learn a lesson from all of this. Sometimes I will ask if I can get. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into my backstage actions and the schedule. Regardless, it really means a lot to me when an older student seeks me out to. Despite all their tests and avoidance, they still think you are a cool teacher, but like not because you don't do anything, but because you bonded with it. That's what I mean. Yes, here's that part. They will genuinely miss me, and then they come back for another round of instruction, and now you're back to being the mean and annoying strict teacher. Dang it. We also have other students who want to grow up, and it's a balance of understanding, empathy, and observation. I mean, you don't want to say, ooh, you want to grow up. And then be really passive aggressive and be like, when I want to grow up, you know what I don't do? I don't dump a bunch of gems on the teacher's head. That's what I don't do when I want to act grown up. That would be nice. Now I want to direct you guys to what might be a bridge between the age groups and a way to heal our age-based divisions, just like the demon hunters have discovered through the power of music. Okay, our students have created a potential boy band. It's called the LMB Boys, but they have disbanded. They're not here. But when they were, I formed a rival band called the LG Boys, a Backstreet Boys cover band with classics like Tell Me Why You Don't Want to Air Right. I Want It That Way, modeling air writing. And that's what makes your pictures beautiful. The importance of imagery, among others. I also have a suggestion for this boy band to change the name from LMB to Syllable Boys, but they are not here anymore. But if they were, I would have to talk to the world's cutest 6-year-old manager, who we have had problems with before because she's not afraid to hurt me with her bunny. And she likes to pretend her bunny makes chicken sounds, so she's really confused with her animals. Excuse me, Sally. It's not okay to hurt someone. Has Daniel Tiger taught you nothing? Don't if you hit me one more time. Yes, don't listen to that part. Without further ado, here's my latest release of my parody, I Want It That Way, inspired by my latest battles to motivate students to do air right. Yeah! This is the unplugged version. I'm just kidding. not trying. The word is Bible. Believe when I say, let's air right my way. But we are 2 walls apart. Can't see you move your hand when you say, when you say, I already arrowed that. The chorus is gonna hit real good, real well. Tell me, not like that. Okay. Let me go to it. Tell me why ain't nothing but task avoidance. Tell me why ain't nothing but a time waste. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I already wrote. Probably looks like should be my next sponsor because I just had a lot of heartburn there. Let me try it again. Tell me why I have a problem of authority. Nope. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I already arrowed it your way. And this is the student's perspective. I don't think people do song with commentary. Just kind of. Am I not trying? What's the word? Disciple. Yes, I know our goal was saved, but I already hate it. Tell me why ain't nothing but a task avoided. Tell me why ain't nothing but a time waste. You told me. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I already arrowed it your way. Now I can see that we've fallen apart from the way session used to be. No matter the... Let me do that again. Now I can see that we've fallen apart from the way session used to be. No matter the face sheet, I want you to know that deep inside of me. Let's bring it down. You are not trying. My word was Bible. Right, right. Don't want to see you hiding under a chair. but a simple syllable break. Ain't nothing but a new vowel blend. Don't wanna hear you complain. I had actual vocal backup dancers. I never wanna hear you say I already eroded your way. Tell me why ain't nothing but a chance avoidance. Tell me why ain't nothing but a time waste. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I already eroded your way. Linger on that last note. Linger on that last note. Great last note. Let's write it my way. And now we're back. And now I'm going to react to another video made by the middle school teacher we saw in our last episode. He is a great, fun content creator for education. And he's going to share with you guys his perspective on teaching middle schoolers, which I found really relatable and funny as well.
Teaching middle school boys is an experience that is one of a kind. And I love teaching middle schoolers. I think it's a ton of fun. But if you've ever wondered what it's like to teach middle school boys, let me show you what it's like. Teacher, can you go pick me up something for lunch? Yo, teacher, do you have any food? Just go pick me up McDonald's real quick, please. Just I see you're having a snack. Can I have a bite? Yeah, hey teacher, I bet I can bench press more than you. I know, teacher, I bet I could beat you in a race. Go up to the gym, 1v1 basketball. I'll beat you. I'll beat you 1v1. I'll beat you, I promise. No, I bet I can throw the football further than you can. Bro, watch me aura farm really quick. Hey, yeah, I got a question on 6 and 7. Bro, I hate my new haircut. I'm so chopped. I bet I make $1 million by the time I'm 22. Maybe even by the time I'm 20. I think when I get older, I'll be a professional basketball player, baseball player, football player, astronaut. I'll even be a professional pickleball player. I'm a professional gamer too. Why am I standing? I guess I really don't even know. You're chopped. No, I'm not chopped, dude. You're chopped. I'm not. Hey, quick question. I think you're balding. Do you ever think about like why you're 6'5" and not an NBA player? Like, do you think you let yourself down? Like, do you think you let your family down? You could be a millionaire. Hey, teacher, what's it like to be old? My assignment in here somewhere. It's here it is. Right, here's my assignment.
Hearing 6'7" out in the real world is a fun experience, especially for someone like me who is rarely on TikTok. It's a fun and sudden way to break the ice. I often try this when the teenagers in front of me suddenly become really interested, I should say, in the table, the carpet, the ceiling, which to be honest does have cool gems on it, but we don't condone that kind of behavior. Who can blame them? Even recently, I heard kids singing happy birthday, but replacing the kid's name with 6'7". So, happy birthday to 6'7". Okay, I think I killed the joke about 6 or 7 times. Oh, no. Okay. I promise I'm done. I don't want to do the same thing that SpongeBob has done with the my like joke. I have been prompted to think deeply about a number, though. And because of this student roasted me for whatever reason, I, as a contrarian, personally vowed to defend the number 12, vacuums and sedans, but also any odd numbers and, for that matter, SUVs. I'm so happy he called my sedan masculine, so that's cool. Now let's work on making nicer comments about my hair and dress pants, because I'm trying. Tangent is over. But not before I talk about Chromebooks. Chromebooks are a trigger word for me again. I apologize to IT for the damaged MacBook that I had to return. Personally, my trouble wasn't with lawnmowers, but pencils, markers, curtain. That's funny. Let's do a little SI for myself. Certain graduated center alumni and students who made the problem worse by touching on the screen. Chromebooks, I never like ran them over with the lawnmower, but that was a good one. Gabe. YouTube, this is me reacting to the video using fair use. I already talked about him using the 6-7 joke and the relating it to it. So I'm just covering my bases. Okay. I want this video to make it. I worked so hard on it. But yeah, Chromebooks are the second citizens of our learning center, and they need equal rights and equal access to our documents. I have nothing more than that to say. The requests for food, constant jumping, and gaslighting are really, really spot on. I guess I do have more to say, including those certain students who are a bit on the taller side who play basketball. ISD are no longer with us. So it's all good. It's all good, right? But if they were here, I'll be like, yeah, Hoshi, I'm talking to you, Hoda Hafish. Whatever, however you say it, thank you in Farsi. You guys were funny. Yeah. Ooh, and now we're part 2, one of my favorite parts of the episode, which is kind of shallow because this is the launch of my online store with my special, super polished, and clearly enunciated. I wrote my commercial script for it, and I'm very excited to present to you guys my official commercial. Hey everyone, Maxxinista Podcast is now launching an online store. You can view my merchandise on my big cartel website. That's right, Christy Noah. I have cartel connections. Allegedly. Don't you want to arrest me now? Anyway, you can visit the Maxxinista Podcast store by visiting my website in the episode description. Here you will always find feature item custom made for all you. We have pins, ironic tote bags, hats, cool clothes, and fun accessories. And we look forward to seeing you there very soon. And be well. Guys, I have become what I hated. All right, now we're switching up to a new topic. This segment was inspired by a moment during lunch when I walked to the sidewalk and I spotted a TJ Maxx receipt, which is odd because we don't have a TJ Maxx anywhere near us. But on the other hand, it isn't quite surprising. No matter how far I go, TJ Maxx will always be following my footsteps, asking me if I found everything okay today and if I will be using my TJ Maxx credit card, also paper or plastic. And they won't be like that one time I went for an interview at Fry's and the lady was on the phone talking to somebody. Thanks. That was really professional. These 2 stories caught my eyes as I was looking for any meaningful news article about TJ Maxx and home goods. Just the TJ Maxx one is more important though. As I was researching which stories to cover, I found 2 stories about TJ Maxx alleged thieves. But why break the law when our deals are already a steal? No. Ruth wants me to say that one more time clearly and enunciate it. These 2 stories caught my eye as I was looking for any meaningful news article about TJ Maxx and home goods. As I was researching which stories to cover, I found 2 stories about TJ Maxx thieves allegedly. But why break the law when our deals are already a steal? Okay, sorry. This is serious news coverage, but I clearly enunciated that one time. In our first story, we find out that McDonald's isn't the only place where you can get arrested after committing a crime. Allegedly again. As NBC Boston reports, 2 women were arrested for stealing $2,000 worth of merchandise from a TJ Maxx location in Massachusetts. at a Wendy's restaurant. The pair are also accused of stealing from other stores in the area. The Auburn police, though, was celebrating this. They posted a long post on Facebook about this arrest, thinking they were cooking with their dad jokes. Little barbecue. The article quotes this post in their closing statement. Moral of the story, felonies do not come with a side of fries. Very funny, Dad. And now I'm hungry. That's how I meant to say it. All jokes aside, I was very impressed by how the police department was able to display the clothes. That's kind of weird though. But yeah, I was like, whoa, I would buy from that. I would buy from that department. They know how to what was it? Hash is where you display display like items, but in like certain color patterns, I think, just to make them look a little bit more fun. So shout out to them. They get a full reach card and a $5 gift card at Starbucks for their hard work selling merchandise. I would like to reach out to this department and offer them not just a reach card, but also a position at TJ Maxx as sales floor coordinator for $1 raise. That's why they warn me. It's not worth it. Sidebar. Sources say that Co-Pilot is being annoying by pretending not to know what kind of merchandise was stolen from TJ Maxx. Gaslighting methods have never been seen this clearly before. And listen, your suggestions of electronics from TJ Maxx is laughable, okay? In that case, I would feel bad for the poor women who went and stole, empty boxes. That would be a crime. Actually, I will say my phone mount from TJ Maxx is still hanging on. So for legal reasons, I will stop making these comments. Then next TJ Maxx news story happened locally as CBS reported authorities arrested a group of 8 people accused of stealing. What did I say it was? $380,000 worth of store merchandise from multiple stores across the bay. According to the sheriff's office, this group is accused of committing 80 thefts and costing $53,000 worth of losses. Shout out to the police and the TJ Maxx investigators. No, we don't talk about that. One time I talked to LP workers who are actual shoplifters. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about how I was eavesdropping and listened to their plan. And then I was like, and then I said one of the person's name, and it probably did not go well for them later on. To them, I apologize for that too. Lastly, there's a couple of things that stood out to me in this story. No, I just had some unresolved questions, but no tinfoil hat here. Just asking some questions here. More on here later. 8 people were arrested, but it looks like there were 16 people involved in this crime. So I'm not sure if they're still out there or. And why did it have to be San Jose? And the worst part of this news story was that the people who stole the merchandise went to sell them at flea markets. Guys, we have standards. That's what you do with Burlington, but not high quality TJ Maxx. I mean, maybe with some of the TJ Maxx beauty items that are like opened. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for the customers there. All right, but now we're on to a different topic. Something a little bit still like newsworthy, but we're continuing to cover the news here at the studio. But now we're reporting from a much happier source, Reddit.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Guys, I promise these stories are more lighthearted. TJ Maxxinista workers are reporting everywhere their loss of the vending machines, and I agree alongside of them in solidarity. Before we continue, let me get Reddit ready. Let's see. I got my fedora hat on, my finger pointing up, my whammy actually.
I can smell
some
the
memes,
Redditors from
and
here.
I'm all set. And and body odor, but I was hesitating to make that joke. Okay, now that we are ready, I wanted to highlight some of the Reddit posts I have seen lamenting our lack of vending machines, and the pictures are quite sad. Redditor Daddy Lebowski. That's her actual name on the first take. I think I said Big Daddy Lebowski, so that's so I am making a journalistic integrity move, and I am apologizing for that mistake, even though nobody heard it. I had a long day editing. Okay, but I will talk to you on another time. That's a Patreon content right there. Rage compilations between me and Adobe Auditions have never been more depressing. Okay, but never mind. Redditor Daddy Lebowski, that's her actual Reddit name, expressed their disappointment while they explained that corporate has decided to no longer have vending machines to make our stores more quote-unquote homey. What do you mean, homey? Also, shout out to homey. I gotta send her this. When I visit my family, she knows who she is. I want a homey home, which means a nice meal, squirt at my uncle's, great food at my aunt's, and another unsponsored soda brand at my stepdad's. The comment section, though, was great, and I do truly believe that there are good managers out there that do purchase snacks and fill our break room, even if it's more of a TJ Maxx rewards thing. We still got rewards thanks to Debbie, so that wasn't our problem anymore. Maybe it was a Santa Clara problem. They were struggling. Shots fired. Speaking of that, I like this comment. TJ minimum. Yeah. Feelings success. That's exactly my feelings. Not on my current job. HR, don't listen to that. Yeah, part. As I scroll through Reddit, there are plenty of posts with similar titles like "It Finally Happened Here," and readers can see plenty of sad pictures of the break room and the shadow of the vending machines where they used to be, now gathering dust. Oh, let me read that in my journalism voice that I learned. As I scroll through Reddit, there are plenty of posts with similar titles like "It Finally Happened Here," and readers can see plenty of sad pictures with the break room and the shadow of the vending machines. Used to be, now gathering dust. This has been Pooh News with your correspondent, Mr. Manny. We'll see you later at 5. Just kidding. These vending machines have a troubled legacy, with some coworkers lamenting the fact that they do not have access to safe snacks, which are snacks away from mice. So that's a nice visual for you guys. And expressing sentiments like, remember what they took away. And a funny meme featuring Mr. Krabs and his love of money. Other coworkers weren't the biggest fans of the vending machines. In fact, one poster talked about the vending machines having open cans inside them. So it's pretty gross that there's open merchandise on them. I personally never witnessed it. For legal reasons, don't sue me. But that's what they're saying. I just remember that multiple times I had to become Travis Kelce and hit the vending machine with my strong, manly shoulder. Okay, maybe it didn't happen like that, but I really wanted my Snickers. Snickers! Because you're not you when you're hungry. My salad has been waiting here for 2 hours. So you guys will think audible. No, not audible. Sorry. It's I don't wanna anger Amazon. No. Audition has it up for me. There's no other explanation. All right. Anyway, we're moving on from me being hungry and cranky to our new segment. Welcome to the new segment called Uber Rants. This is part of the show where I rant about rideshare trips, deliveries, whether as a driver or a customer, and I rant in an Uber way, the best way. First of all, how dare the driver ignore my delivery instructions and ring the doorbell at 10 p.m.? Seriously. Tell my whole family that I'm fat.
My bad? That's all you have.
That's another one that I learned. That's great. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't appropriate that kind of joke as a skinny person. I was just spicy. Like the order of chicken nuggets that I ordered with a salad. I started recording this day when the light was out, and now it's dark. This is how I spent my Saturdays making content for you guys. All 5 of you. I hope you feel really special. For my... that's a side rant. Stick to the topic. For my next rant, I want to tell you all the strange objects I have delivered before. Like car parts in plastic bags and tacos, which were raining tacos. May I remind you, this trip was set as a delivery for parcels, so that does not mean food. But no, it means anything, honestly. I have delivered boxes. I have delivered car parts. Like I said, I have delivered envelopes, which I felt were really important and did not to be trusted with just some stranger. But, that was a nice drive. I will talk more about that drive in another episode because I had quite the time there. There was also a fun occasion where I gave a ride to a pizza from one guy's house to another guy's house. I liked my passenger, Caesar. He was a chill guy. There are other jokes I could make about Little Caesars here, but they're not kid in the car approved. Mia, don't listen to him. This Uber rant was inspired by some of the most recent rides I had given to passengers. This subtopic is called delicate conversations. And it's not about those kind of delicates. So they were talking about, I felt like the third wheel. They were talking about, where do I begin? At first, a conversation with 2 female tech workers started as a conversation about their appointments to their dentist, which is already a trigger because it shows their health insurance privilege. Ooh, I don't just have a dentist, I have a dental esthetician. Okay, I was salty because my health insurance doesn't do co-pays all the time and I haven't gone to the dentist in a really long time. I am allowed to tell one dark joke, okay? Mr. Manny is not a Luigi and I will not be at Wendy's anytime soon. So you guys can rest easy there. I'm also acknowledging my shame. This is a place for retail workers after all. This podcast is brought to you by Sensodyne, the toothpaste for sensitive teeth and people. So far, so good, right? But then I mail, in case you guys forgot, there's funny information floating about my laughter, and it's making me feel a little insecure. So far, so good, right? But then IML started to overhear a more delicate conversation about visiting a good gynecology doctor. And first of all, I'm surprised that I said that word right. I don't have too much more to say after that. What's there to say? I'm so glad they were self-aware and decided to redirect their conversation. My knowledge about women ends after menstruation and menopause. Fun times. It was fun to play red light, green light with my AC while I was driving with my mom. We also played. We also played. How many times can you put your jacket on and off during the whole car ride? And she beat the record. Okay. My mom will listen to this podcast, so I have to be nice. So. Gracias, Ama. This podcast is brought to you by Midle and Hibiscus. Midle and Hibiscus, because this podcast host has female friends who lets them know when they are on their periods. Thanks. It helps me not take this sharp sarcasm as seriously. Michelle, I asked you one question and you snapped at me like a snapping turtle. But then you became a crying turtle. Please don't ask me the warm question. It's not the right time. Okay, I saved the juiciest rant for them. And this story involves bros, football, words of affirmation, and hair replacement. This is your trigger warning. Okay, a couple of days ago, trigger warning. Okay, a couple of days ago, I picked up a group of guys through my unsponsored rideshare app after I waited for the previous passenger who wanted to wait 20 minutes for him while he walked up to me. Sort of like you need a Uber to get to your Uber situation. Or a Lyft, but like a British Lyft, because I'm not gonna sell my soul. So I refuse to name them further. Anyway, I picked them up fresh after a game where they had seen their teams lost. Except I think they actually won. Just kidding. They won. I don't know, okay? I asked him and I forgot that so much I care. Oh, yeah, though. My ears perked up when I heard him talking about Travis Kelce. I was like, hey, I know about that guy. This group was interesting, and I thought I was going to explode laughing once one of the guys started to make fun of the other guys for his loss of hair. Ball jokes just get to me. Shout out to Abishai, who puts the ball in the bald eagle. Don't worry, Abby. Together we'll make hairline straight again. Mahga. But that's too Arabic sounding. So we might have to workshop another title. I'm just kidding. Okay. These guys were a group of straight men, and the conversation devolved into not kidding the car appropriate conversations. So check my uncensored video page for more content. Just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. I need to be intentionally vague and yet funny here. Yeah, they talked about Barack Obama. No, they talked about single moms, and I was like, hey, some of my best friends are single moms. Get your hands on them. They talked about their own version of Mom's Night Out, which was not PG-13, not even PG. They also talked about utensils and tortas. So I will not be thinking of them the same way. You know, when El Chavo was like, I want a torta de jamón. Now that's all dirty. Thanks to you guys. Let the listener understand. Apparently, there were big supporters of, pun intended. Apparently, there were big supporters of body positivity. I don't know, but I won't think of Subway the same way again. Well, actually, those are not tortas. Tortas are a little bit different, but like a Darman video, what happened next was shocking. No, not me slowing down, because I also wanted to check out the lady that we're looking at, which she was advising to not kid in the car approved substances. So then I courageously went at the speed limit, which I should have been doing that. Anyway, one of them expressed interest in gaining muscles by steroids, and they actually took the time to ask him why. And they gave him solid advice, and they were concerned, and they were like, I was taking notes too while listening to NPR. Just kidding. Univision. Seriously, it was nice to see genuine concern when they told him about the dangers of using steroids, which we don't have to get to all the side effects. Because, I want this episode to be as listenable as much as possible. This part of the podcast is brought to you by GN. Let me do this again. Sorry. I'm getting tired. And when I get tired, I get easily distracted. Let me collect myself. This part of the podcast is brought to you by GNC. When you need supplements, check out GNC. It's right next to the Salty Spittoon. I especially liked the part when one of the guys gave words of affirmation to the other one, stating clearly and kindly, "No rainbow slur," YouTube, as he proceeded to highlight his muscles. And I can confirm, this guy already had muscles. So I don't know what he's complaining about. That probably was what motivated me to go to Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness for the Tootsie Rolls and Stay for the Stairmaster. I don't know why Planet Fitness gets such a bad rap. It's like, okay, they have candy sometimes, not all the time, and I should know. No, just kidding. All right, now welcome to my much more segment to reflect on our midweek classes. Again, let me rephrase that. Now, welcome to my much more segment. This is the part of the podcast where I transition from my education and job and talk about my faith community and play a little gospel sound in the background. Now it's time to reflect on our midweek classes. We have to go back, though, a couple weeks ago to the last lesson before we began our new level. Don't worry, you guys. I will cover the fist bump allegations soon. And then I made a my body, my choice, Eric joke. earlier in my first take. It sounded hilarious. You guys should have been there. I had to cover the more reflective aspects of this segment while I was making a delivery. Mind you, I had joined our Zoom meeting. I was either going to hear about Jesus or meet him, knowing the way that I drive. Woo! Officer, what do you mean? Jesus is the way. Oh, it's a one-way lane. Sorry, officer. That only happened to me once, and then I corrected myself, and I was like, oh, no, wait, it happened to me 2 times. And then there was the one time that I was driving and I accidentally opened up my trunk, and that was an oopsie. That was a fun. It happened to me twice. Oh, no. Yeah. Thanks to Sister Z, I had to deliver someone's Burger King with a side of tears. Shout out to Sister Z, though, for sharing her story about writing a letter of forgiveness. I should start writing my own to Mr. Ernie Herman. Just kidding. I actually have people that I'll bring it up in my next therapist appointment about that. Yep. So I hope Sister C keeps bringing cake to help me with my emotions. And listen, this chocolate fudge cake isn't the only thing that has deliciously dark and complex layers. My dad would call me his little chocolate. And monkey face, but I made a mistake of telling a student that. So I'm working on boundaries, which is why I left some stuff out here of my script. This sensitive part of the podcast is brought to you by Safeway. Safeway, home of that delicious fudge cake, and DoorDash, the app that gets that delicious fudge cake right to your home. That's a keeper. That's something that you can be proud of showing your parents. Dad, Mom, eat my fudge cake. I got the phone lines open. Don't make a dark joke about Dad never calling. Don't you do it, Manny. Don't do it. After this moment, it is difficult to pivot into the next topics we covered in midweek, like maturity. Those slides were fun, and I really, really appreciate seeing Seek in a small bicycle. But it should have been you. It should have been you, Dad. Okay, I have some wounds from not being able to learn how to ride my bicycle well. Teaching yourself how to ride a bike is difficult, but I think I probably had some good moments with my brother. And there was one time where I didn't know how to use the brakes on the bike, and I headed straight into a pole at my elementary school. It's in a Polish situation. When we talked about authority, I had some of my slightly cynical assumptions of what we were going to cover and how we were going to discuss already familiar topics about respecting our spiritual authorities and earthly authorities. But I generally like how our teachers acknowledge the reality of abuse that happens when we misuse authority, and how that shows our lack of maturity when we lead others in a way that doesn't reflect the fruit of the Spirit. I like that. And then, reaffirming kind of what I already did know, but doing this part in a new way that stood out to me. And I do value that. I think it's important. Usually at this moment, I begin to wrap up my podcast and shamelessly remind you to like and sub to the Maxxinista Podcast on your favorite listening platform, and now on YouTube too. But I wanted to add something new to this podcast that I have only flirted with before. And you know you have it bad when you flirt more with ideas than people. Those ideas, right? Yes, I have made several jokes and political references to many figures before, and I think my favorite joke has been about Kamala Harris as a grammatical pun, as well as my Trump impression. But I have, you become my friend when I feel safe enough to do my Alex Jones impression. But I have never truly provided political commentary before, and quite frankly, I feel cautious. I don't ever picture Trump feeling like cautious. And quite frankly, I do feel cautious and nervous, yet passionate. Before I give you my personal perspective on recent events, I want to spend some time reflecting on how I process the recent event in news in my faith community. Locally, we have taken the time to pray together as each new tragedy has occurred, whether that has been war, difficult immigration situations, murders and school shootings, and attacks on places of worship. Sometimes my local church is like my family, and it is difficult to get along because of our political differences. If you want a show, come check out our Thanksgiving live show. Just kidding. Like when there was a time when I corrected my mom while she was praying. Way to go on my part. She was praying, thanking God that Donald Trump had indeed signed the stimulus bill during COVID, because that was a very big financial help for us. But who does that? Who corrects someone? Who fact checks? I wonder. Let me pull up Snopes and fact check my mom while she's praying. That's great. That was actually like, the bill was also passed by 2 chambers, the House and the Senate. And then I started singing, oh man, I'm sorry. I admit I am a little cynical, and I do appreciate when our leaders listen to our concerns, even if we bring political figures they might not vote for. I think that's one of the things that makes our church stands out. As a whole, we do lean conservative, and yet I have yet to dye my hair blue. But I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, like even though we as a whole do lean more conservative, I don't always align, but I haven't dyed my hair blue. That's where I was going with that. No septum piercing yet, but shout out to my family. But we genuinely care for the immigration challenges many of our members face. When I reflect on the news, the last few tragedies that occur are still fresh in my mind. We prayed after Charlie Kirk's death, and that was the moment when a sister brought up Melissa Hortman too. And I could tell several of my friends admire him while others found him reprehensible. We didn't just pray for Kirk. We prayed for Michigan after a church was targeted, and we also prayed for our children and their safety. Previously, our local church had been invested and concerned after the death of George Floyd. I remember all of that. And we reached out during the community during the pandemic. So those are a lot of weeks when we really try to meet the needs of the community around us, and fun times, except when they had me do quote unquote, I did not like to monitor the street, Josh. I'm a man of the people. I wanted to greet them. Okay, that's at the local community level, but individually, you may be asking, well, what do you think? I know at least one unnamed person does after they send me tons of videos for me to react to, which I clearly haven't because I have been both outsmarted and dominated by facts and logic. No, this reply is not sarcastic. It's always a challenge for me to give my political opinions, except to Maryam, because I can make jokes about the Iranian Revolution. Maryam, if you give them the word Khomeini for them to air right, I will give you one of those staff cards, magical learning moment. That would be fun. I dare you. At this moment, there are so many news events that I can't react to all of them. And if I omit any news events that others feel crucial, I could be judged. I could be seen like that I don't care about other issues. But it's going to take time for me to explore other topics and look into them as well to be more balanced. Perhaps if you are all interested in what I have to say, I can continue to cover more serious topics towards the end of my episode. And I hesitate to say this, but I am curious about your feedback. I am nosy after all. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is one of the most recent news that has solicited reactions from different people, from people who admire him and revile him, as I said before. But prior to his death, there was also another tragedy in Minneapolis, a school shooting at a Catholic church, an increase in pressure from ICE in California, along other states I know, as far as I'm aware, alongside with protests of those ICE raids. Pro-Palestinian individuals were detained, past targeted murders directed at Palestinians and Jews, the latter done in the name of freeing Gaza, in addition to attacks on synagogues. Then after came the tragic stabbing of a Ukrainian woman and a war refugee, plus you have other events that have captured my interest, like Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate's cases. And then I need to have an opinion about the conflicts in the Middle East. So what I'm trying to say, that was a mouthful. I want to be clear and say that these are just some of the issues that are like not all of them. Just some of the core issues that I have been hearing about and seeing developments. So I might not have a strong opinion yet. And I have been learning to keep my opinions mostly to myself or to friends and family. I'd rather wait until there's more information available. And yet, it seems like politics, history, literature, and faith run in our blood. For a while, I have been working on developing a cogent response to the problems I see developing on the extreme sides, both the left and the right. Okay, it's not time for Beyonce. If I am being honest, not beating the Beyonce allegations anytime soon. If I'm being honest, while I admire the compassion and attention the left pays to undocumented immigrants, for example, or their critiques of toxic forms of faith, I still feel a little bit awkward about like patriotism mixed in with faith. So I'm saying that I it at least resonates with me when they criticize like uniting those two very strongly, like in a way that it makes sense to me. I still find their political rhetoric to be hyperbolic. To be clear, I am not stating that the government is not being repressive when they target figures exercising their freedom of speech, if that is what led them to be detained by ICE. Although with some individuals, I do believe that their advocacy goes beyond just verbally supporting Palestine or resistance groups. That's covered by the First Amendment. But then if it goes to like materially supporting terrorist groups like the Houthis or Hamas, who have their own problems suppressing their own people, that's what I was trying to say there was there's a bit of a gray area between that kind of like advocacy, which is covered, and then like the more material support. But I haven't really seen that, so I guess I'm just saying where my line would be. But since I haven't seen anybody like really cross that line, I don't have anything concrete there. What actions go from activism? This is where I need a comma. Comma-less series. What actions go from activism, advocacy and passion for Palestinian statehood and cross into material support for terrorism as well beyond my pay grade? AKA, I don't know. I would have to look into it more. I also find it reprehensible when the left does not acknowledge the real dangers of anti-Semitism that occur in this country. And I don't mean criticism of the Israeli government or their policies. For the record, I will correct myself and condemn the attack if the alleged individual had other political persuasions. Like if I am wrong about his political ideas and affiliations, I would still believe that this was wrong. In this case, I am referring to the two Israeli embassy workers who were allegedly murdered by a young man, Elias Rodriguez, 31, reportedly for Palestine. He is alleged to have murdered two embassy workers outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum at an event called the Young Diplomats Reception. Although there are two more individuals listed on the indictment, they are not fully identified on that document except by their initials. According to Jojo Cowan, a board member of AJC and the organizer of the event. The event was largely focused on how to build a coalition to help Gazans. One of the individuals, Sarah Milgram, was a Jewish American embassy worker who supported peaceful cooperation between Palestinians and Israelis in the field of technology. She also had experience in environmental work as well as working with survivors of sexual violence after October 7. Additionally, her fiancé Yaron Lishinsky, a German Israeli embassy worker, research assistant, and somebody who advocated for interfaith and intercultural understanding, was there as well. Also, was the other person that lost her life. I should have worded more clearly there. Benjamin Rogers, HSC's director for Middle East and North Africa initiatives, reflected on Lishinsky's warmth and care, stating as well the difficult topic he covered that Wednesday. The event on Wednesday night was one that I moderated, and one that I was actually quite nervous to moderate. It was on humanitarian diplomacy. This is not an easy topic to discuss right now. There's a lot of complexity, a lot of hardship, a lot of heartbreak. But the fact that he was there for this conversation showed his willingness to engage, his willingness to hear a conversation. It was not a political discussion. So those were his words. Benjamin Rogers. And now we want to talk about the alleged shooter, Elias Rodriguez, his words in his manifesto. Call it vacation. These are not my words, YouTube. If authentic, sheds a light on his thoughts about the conflict in Gaza, the number of casualties reported, Western and Arab complicity, and the limits of non-violent resistance, as well as more militant forms of resistance. A bit more of nonviolent resistance hasn't been getting our goals, and highlighting more aggressive forms of resistance, either towards themselves in protests or towards others for their past conduct. So those are people that he kind of highlighted. Personally, the passage that stood out to me seemed to suggest his justification for targeting this event and the embassy workers there. So once again, these are his words that I'm about to quote. A word about the morality of armed demonstration. Those of us against genocide take satisfaction in arguing that the perpetrators and abettors have forfeited their humanity. I sympathize with this viewpoint, and I understand its values in soothing the psyche, which cannot bear to accept the atrocities it witnesses, even mediated through the screen. But when inhumanity has long since shown itself to be shockingly common, mundane, prosaically human, a perpetrator may then be a loving parent, a filial child, a generous and charitable friend, an amiable stranger capable of moral strength at times when it suits him and sometimes even when it does not, and yet be a monster all at the same time. All at the same. Humanity doesn't exempt one from accountability. Once again, those were his words. I want to talk about my thoughts on his words. This passage is interesting to me for a couple of reasons. First of all, characterizing the conflict in Gaza as genocide needs to meet a particular legal definition, which is meeting a specific standard. That's what I'm trying to say. Which advocates do not. I said often earlier. I should say I haven't heard in arguments them really explain the standards that makes a genocide. So I have not seen that personally. Secondly, I believe applying this term to Gaza while not applying it to the same to other countries committing atrocities across the world is applying a double standard simply because they don't support Israel. I do have to make a note that not all left-wing people do this. There's some to oppose campism, and I do respect that about them. It seems convenient for him to say that the perpetrators have lost their humanity, because then it's easier for people. Well, it's easier for them to be like, it doesn't matter because of this issue, like whatever positive things about them as a person, like that can be easily excused. I must ask, when did these two workers forfeit their humanity, and what was he holding them accountable for? What did they do? I think this is a moment where my frustration is directed more towards people who identify themselves with the left and progressive values, and those on the extreme or left or right, for that matter, who cannot accept the legitimacy of the state of Israel. It is not right to deflect the problem of anti-Semitism by immediately bringing up another problem of Islamophobia, as if both cannot exist at the same time, or if we cannot care about both of them, or being accused of dehumanizing Palestinians and their desires for self-determination. I find it tragic that this young man allegedly used the genocide in Gaza, in his words, as justification to commit murder against two embassy workers who were characterized as bridge builders by their colleague. While there are legitimate humanitarian concerns, for example, aid to Palestinians, and valid criticism over how Israel has failed to provide adequate aid or how they conduct their military actions, I don't know enough to comment further. Isn't that convenient? However, I will push back on the notion that Hamas fights like any other army that follows the accepted rules of war and engages in their own potentially problematic tactics. And I do believe that they put their people in danger. I would like to conclude that this is not the only incident. In June, a man in Colorado allegedly threw Molotov cocktails and other incendiary explosives at the participants of Run for Their Lives, who were gathering for an event supporting Israeli hostages. These two attacks, as well as the accumulation of attacks on synagogues, show that their anti-Semitism is more than just a shady rhetorical shield, but a real source of fear for Jews in America. Great, I'm going to get clipped so badly. Jews in America or anywhere else in the world should not bear the burden of their leaders' decisions and become targets just because they are Jews or Israeli citizens. Just like we would not accept the targeting of Palestinian individuals for whatever actions Hamas leadership takes in the conflict. On a personal level, I was disappointed with a post I saw someone post on social media when criticizing Israel's quote-unquote preemptive defense towards Iran, who is suspected of developing potential nuclear weapons. You are free to criticize this and question if Iran is developing nuclear capabilities for warfare or just for what they state that they wanted to use them for. And obviously there are agencies whose job it is to measure those things and look at them and investigate them. And if they truly pose a threat on Israel, or if the United States needs to get involved. Basically, there are legitimate things that you can criticize, but it's the way that this post criticized that I did not like. Instead, what I saw was a typical Jewish caricature of a man with a long nose and curly hair poking the nest of bees and complaining after getting stung. Featured the very anti-Semitic happy merchant imagery. Why not do the same meme and mock Netanyahu or Trump for that matter without relying on anti-Semitic cartoonish villains? What was the subtext that image suggests? I'm going to go with what I think. My gut. We'll talk more about that. But I would argue that subtext shows a sort of deceitful nature. And there's just a lot of problems with using that kind of image. That wraps up my opinions for those previous news stories, but I do want to offer some further reflections on Charlie Kirk's death and some critiques towards the right. While there are plenty of prominent figures on the right that I could discuss, I have chosen to highlight Candace Owens. See, I told you the gut thing was coming back. As a popular conservative figure of the right, Owens exemplifies and I would argue amplifies a lot of problems that I see within the conservative movement. If I had but world and time, I would also present my critiques of other popular figures like Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, and Nick Montes. And Chris Tucker. No, I always confuse Chris Tucker with Tucker Carlson. I'm sorry. Tucker Carlson, the man that I call him, not just me, the open shock face Pikachu man. But in this case, I'm going to leave him alone. As these men advocate, okay, so I found Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and Nick Fuentes probably the most extreme and problematic. So I would like to talk more about them some other time. I find their positions not only wrong, but dangerous and potentially even dishonest, or at the very least bombastic and hyperbolic. There's lots I could say there, but I will keep my critiques short due to time. And if you're interested, I will continue to share. Let me know if you would like to see more of this type of content on my podcast. I understand this is very different from what I typically cover normally. My busted toe, my shopping cart, and my sad Valentine's Day. And people have really strong political opinions. Once again, I am sharing my own thoughts, and I am open to hearing from you all, even if you disagree with what I have said so far. Also, do want to let you know that we are almost done. So if you are also looking forward to that, we're getting there. Back to Candace Owens. Where to even start? My critique of Candace Owens has developed over time as I have watched her align herself with well-known individuals like Kanye West. Yay, we missed Christian era. Good album. That's about all the positives I can say. And the Andrew Tate, which I commented and said he probably would like the in front of his name, and defend him publicly. Ye has his own problems, and I had viewed his interviews with Owens, academics, which is a YouTuber, and Lex Friedman, a Jewish engineer man. Note to self, when facing controversy, do not show up wearing a Black Klansman outfit for an interview, speaking favorably of the Yahtzees and the Austrian painter during an interview with Alex Jones, or tweets that you want to go it's like when somebody deceives somebody, we call that conning, like he's a con man and there's a 3 in front of it and he's using that to target a certain people group. YouTube. If I am honest, some of her interviews were difficult for me to watch because she leaned into topics which I would argue are deeply embedded into a conspiratorial worldview, which with colorful phrases like global rainbow slur, constantly referring to certain kind of files like PDF, shadowy days, a disdain for seeking data and prioritizing your gut feeling instead of finding reliable experts. This part of the podcast is brought to you by Activia. Whenever you have gut problems, get some yogurt. And a bonus for Andrew Tate, who can speak highly of God in some settings and in others be flippant and praise Bonnie Blue as an exemplary quote-unquote feminist who doesn't depend on males for her health, wealth, and success. I hope you can see the irony there. Charlie Kirk's death is a great example of how she covers a news story in a flawed way by relying on assumptions, gut feelings, vibes, in an attempt to question the official narrative. I am not alone in my criticism of Candace Owens as she continues to produce content regarding Kirk's murder, and I have felt the same way as when they were presenting examples of Owens' unfounded claims. Okay, so let me take a breather because I've been talking for a while. For example, Owens claims that she enjoyed a close relationship with Charlie Kirk to the point where they were discussing and she was encouraging him to convert to Catholicism. Source. I want to roast her so bad about using a dream as a source. Even though I am a person of faith, I feel like that's very, very convenient for her. But that came out recently, and it didn't come out when I was writing my script, so that's why I'm not talking too much about it. This is not true. Yes, the Kirks have attended Catholic services. I just learned recently, so take it, I guess, with a grain of salt. But how do I phrase this? Okay, so in talking to people that knew Charlie Kirk, I heard that it was Erica who was a Catholic and Kirk himself was a evangelical Protestant. Is there? No, the wrong time, Manny. No mixed marriages for Mr. Manny. But yeah, Kirk was a practicing evangelical Protestant who disagreed with Michael Knowles over Catholic doctrine. So unless she points out some evidence, that I don't believe that. And then general vibe is, yes, she knows, but she doesn't quite know because there's no evidence. While everyone is free to question the official narrative, some of the holes, quote unquote, Candace points to unanswerable challenges aren't that difficult or don't have any other, like they have other logical explanations. For example, she states that the text between the alleged shooter and his partner were staged because of the words like retrieve and vehicle, which seemed odd. Young people do not talk like that, she says. They say things like, I don't know, buzzing and God, get. Yeah. Well, hopefully you see what I'm trying to say. Is she has this idea, and if the words sound a little bit off, then she's like, no way, these are staged. There's people who think that the chat logs are like AI generated, and I don't see any reason to believe that they are. I did her experiment and found that in normal conversation, I found that my friends had called my vehicle, Candace, cozy. Okay? I have a cozy vehicle, Candace. And this was not my friend, the DMV, talking to me. This was my friend, Carmen. So unless she has connections with the police or CIA, I think we can conclude that there are times where normal people can say retrieve and vehicle. Also, according to like the alleged shooter's personality, like, yes, it sticks out because he had like a different way of talking, but it's not impossible for him to talk in a certain way if he was formed by like his own like circle and internet bubble, like all that kind of stuff. What am I trying to say? She presents this exchange as invented because of the words that she finds odd in a normal conversation. This is not proof. It's only preference. Another good example of how she relies on impressions and vibes is that she believes it is unrealistic that the alleged shooter was identified correctly because there's footage where the alleged shooter is wearing different clothes. Oh my goodness, people cannot change clothes when they're fleeing a crime scene. Or who goes to Dairy Queen after they commit a crime? I don't know. Talk to Luigi Mangione. What did he do? Okay. Allegedly. Don't sue me. Again, it's not uncommon when a crime happens that later they get hungry. Because you're not you when you're hungry. Sorry. Bad time for that joke. She presents this information in the most ridiculous way by implying that it is completely silly that an alleged shooter might change clothes to blend in or not be found. Furthermore, she questioned why someone would take the footage out of the camera and keep the SD card, as if it is unfathomable that that person, who later showed her the footage and the FaceTime call, by the way, would not want to secure the footage and give it to the authorities. Instead, it is viewed in a suspicious light. And there was this whole there's other conspiracy out there. Take a deep breath, Manny. Don't get triggered. You're a beautiful snowman. I mean, snowflake. That's what I meant. Instead, it is viewed in a suspicious light. Finally, Owens is promoting an unfounded idea that Kirk's death was due to pressure from Zionist donors, which Kirk rejected as he was changing his views on Israel. So later on with the text that she has provided, which they still need to be verified and all that, but sources are vouching for it. So I'm not going to make the argument that these texts aren't true. I'm going to make the argument that these texts don't fully support her interpretation of it. What it does show is that there was the donor who was like, I don't like that you have Dave Smith. I'm not going to support you because, donors can do that. And the way that a source characterized it, but was like, oh, Josh Hammers was like, oh, he's blowing steam. He's angry in the moment. He's like, I think what I found I don't believe that, because in Owen's mind, if she's like, oh, Charlie was like no longer wanting to support Israel and he wanted to bring me on, and then they shot him, and she's trying to create a connection there that I don't believe there's enough proof for it. Okay, that's it. Sources present at the meeting, Owens characterized as a quote-unquote intervention, have also pushed back on some of her claims there. Owens wants to present herself as a close ally of Kirk, a longtime friend experiencing a spiritual transformation, aka no longer a Zionist, who was murdered for his voice. At the same time, she pushes others in relationship to Kirk, like his wife, Erica, who I commend for her message of forgiveness at her husband's memorial. Even if you find what the other speaker says problematic, you can surely see that Erica wants to reflect Christian values. So good. I would imagine it would take so much to like really extend that forgiveness. She's also told Kirk's pastor to be quiet during this time. Okay. I would think Kirk's pastor knows a bit more about Kirk's own faith than she does, but there are other stories she covers, or she continues to rely on her own instinct of just what feels off, like her content exploring and questioning the identity of Macron's wife, who she alleges is a transgender woman. Guess who is facing a lawsuit for defamation? It's her and other people who have made the same claim. One of her proofs was kind of funny. It's like, oh, well, she has very big hands for a woman, And then I looked at my hands and I was like, boy, am I confused. And the most recent thing of being like, oh, I had a dream and Charlie Kirk told me that he was betrayed. So I'm going to use that as a reliable source. Okay. Maybe sometimes when you dream, people get pregnant, and that's true. Okay. I mean, that's pretty cool. But I don't know. There's a lot more when it's like alleging that you saw the person visit you in a dream. I am a person of faith, but I'm not. I'm a little gullible, but yeah, I am rambling a bit. As I wrap up this segment, I wanted to say something punchy. Like, girl, every time I get a gut reaction, I eat some Activia yogurt to help me with my digestive issues. Maybe you should too. Also, shout out to one of the kids who brought in Miralax. Aww. I feel your pain. Poor girl. It's okay. We don't have to talk more about it. Thank you for sharing that. Once again, I want to reiterate that these are my views and I am willing to hear from you all. Please don't sue me. Please don't sue me. I truly find it challenging to completely align with either progressive or conservative figures, even Charlie Kirk, with whom I would have shared some disagreements, while I also believe that some of his controversial takes are not properly understood or require more context. Yet I would have disagreed with his takes on immigration, and I am aware that his positions on LGBTQ issues have offended many people that I know. If you have any disagreements with Kirk, I will support your rights to voice them. Ultimately, I want to say that I also respect my friends who admire Kirk for publicly promoting his faith and challenging the views of students in an open forum. If he was alive and I had an opportunity to have a conversation with him, I truly wonder what I would say. Nevertheless, I do not support this murder or the view that he brought it upon himself due to his rhetoric. Before I conclude this episode, I would appreciate if you left a like, a comment, and become a follower of the Maxxinista Podcast on Spotify or your favorite platform, and also on YouTube where you can enjoy this episode. I've been working super hard on this episode. It's almost 8 p.m. and I have yet to put all this audio together. So, fun weekend. Those were my fun weekend plans. I am constantly striving to improve my visuals, audio, and editing. Friendly reminder to check out my store by clicking on the website in the episode description. I really would appreciate any support and feedback on my products. Speaking of support, I have included my friend's GoFundMe in the episode description as well. So go ahead and look and take your time. I know she will appreciate any support in this difficult time. Once again, thank you for listening to the Maxxinista Podcast and be well.
Hey.